Check, check, check. If you're hearing the sound of my voice or watching this on YouTube, that means you're now tuned into another chapter of the Introverted Intuition podcast. My name is Jeff, aka Amazon best-selling author. As always, I got my brother with me. CR, say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your man CR 908, aka Conscious Rap, BKA Chocolate Rod, representing Jump Out the Frame. What's good?
Before we get into this episode, I just want to remind you that we are sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a service that provides online therapy. The way 2020 was set up, the way 2021 has kind of been, it may be a bit stressful for those who can't really deal with all the bullshit that's affecting us in the world. So BetterHelp is a service that will provide you with online therapy from the comfort of your own home. So if you go to betterhelp.com/introvert, use the code introvert at checkout to get 10% off your first month. Again, that's betterhelp.com/introvert, use the code introvert at checkout to get 10% off your first month. Thank you, BetterHelp. CR,
My boy.
who we got with us tonight? Who got us in the studio?
These two gentlemen, they're 2 out of 3 that are here. These are some guys that I've grew up with, seen them since middle school, develop into some very accomplished black men. These dudes, bro, like, give me inspiration. I've known them since middle school. They're into real estate. I mean, they're into a lot of things. I'll let them speak for themselves, but we have Laquan Marshall and we have Dwight Bostic here. Guys, please, for the crowd, let them know who you are, where you're from, and what you represent.
So my name is Dwight, like Riley said. I've known Riley for a little over 15 years now? Yeah. Way back, we kind of, formed this friendship, and, ever since then, I knew he was a solid guy. I knew he was heading for, promise, and, whatever I did, whatever he did, we kind of, kept each other and filled each other in and, made each other better. Also Laquan here, I've known him since elementary school, so we actually lived across the street from each other. Mm-hmm. All grew up from Roselle, but like I said, my name is Dwight. I'm solid dude, humble dude. Laquan and I, we formed with a partner, Satir, who we also grew up with, formed an alliance and tackled real estate. And we're currently in Western Pennsylvania, a market where we found some some aggressive returns. We kind of attacked downtown, so purchased some commercial mixed-use property, some residential duplexes, triplexes, quads, things of that nature. And we'll get into some of those. I know you guys have questions about that, but right. We wanted to make it a group effort, right? So we believe in group economics, and we wanted to do it for our community. So we fundraised a first round of fundraising. We kind of looked at some of our people in our network, friends and family. We're able to raise some capital and get aggressive out there in the market. So I'll just leave it at that, and then I'll let Laquan, introduce himself.
Word. Appreciate that, White. Appreciate you.
Of course, man. Got you, bro.
I'm Laquan Marshall. I've known Dwight since the 3rd grade. We've lived across the street from each other. I remember him coming over like neighbors do, and he came over in his little Romeo braids and his husband and his mom's, and hey, I'm DJ, and we just been playing basketball in the driveway and in the street ever since.
Bro.
And
it's just funny. Can I just say, bro, growing up, like, this nigga was the coolest guy I knew. Still the coolest guy. Bro, I'm talking about, how you grow up and on the Disney Channel, there's that one guy that can do everything. Like, this nigga, he'll come up with a paper ball and throw it behind his back, and he go right in the garbage can. Get all the girls. Like, bruh, this guy's been like that since I knew him, bro. Like, and he helped me find my confidence because, I was a little nerdy, Like, I believe it. Yeah, I was a little nerdy, but he fucked with me because I was funny, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. And you got a good spirit, too.
Thank you, yeah.
He has a really good spirit. And I've known Rodley since around that time. Since the same time.
Like 5th grade. Yeah, 4th or 5th grade. Because you went to LV, right?
I went to LV,
yeah. So LV, so, yeah.
So, I know these guys for a while. I'm a real estate developer. Myself, Dwight, my partner Satir, we own a real estate development firm, and we own a qualified opportunity fund And, we're fathers, husbands, significant others, leaders. We consider ourselves leaders and thought leaders in real estate in our community, and we just trying to do good for our community.
I respect it.
Yeah.
I have so many questions, like, they're an extension of my just personal curiosity, and I have an interest in real estate as well.
Sure.
I read a book that was kind of similar size to this.
Oh,
Shit, my bad. This is my book. Yeah. I have, it was like almost a 300-page book on real estate, but I still kind of left a bit confused, so I definitely have a lot of questions. But going back to those days when you guys were all young, did you guys have interest in real estate? Like, when did the interest really begin?
That's a good question.
It always has been about money, I'll tell you that.
Like, we've all, at some point developed, that hustle, right? Like, I remember I used to be 5th grade selling Lil Wayne mixtapes right off LimeWire, $5 a tape.
The bootlegs?
Bootleg,
I respect that.
Just doing what we can to, make some money. And, going back to Roselle, you see a lot of people that's, that doesn't look like us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That own, liquor stores and corner stores. And, I remember saying, it'd be cool one day to own something, right? And my dad, shout out to my dad, is a real positive influence. And, he always said, if you want to do something in life, you got to own it, right? So I've always had that mentality, but real estate specifically, I would say started, probably like my first year of college. Yeah.
Same around the same time? Or?
Yeah, somewhere around the same time. I think with me a lot, when I was a lot younger, right, I like watched my dad work like incredibly hard, right? Like he would get up at like 5 a.m. and stay and close the store till like, 10 p.m. and putting in these hours and, just doing what he can to provide for us. And I'm just like, he's given us this opportunity, so I need to take it to the next level. So I had an entrepreneurial spirit very early on. Like I remember like one of my other friends, Vernon, in the 5th grade, we used to like have sleepovers and we used to take the Nikes and go in the backyard and tape leaves to the Nikes and like, we should sell these, and we're talking about product development in the 5th grade,
right.
And then in high school, I was, class president and whatnot, and we used to throw parties and make money, and then I did this block party, and I raised some money to pay for my books in college, and, so we always had this kind of, if you want something, go get it. And I think my sophomore year in college, I went to Morgan State University, so I went to HBCU. A lot of these universities are in predominantly urban areas. And one of the things that plights a lot of HBCUs is that they don't have the capacity to house the students that they, except for undergraduate. So like myself, I was fortunate enough to have housing, but a lot of my friends that came from out of state didn't have housing. They rented off campus, right? And then my sophomore year, I resorted to renting off campus. And I'm just a curious person by nature. So, like, I ask a lot of questions, I do a lot of research, and, I was living in this kind of duplex, and, the landlord rented out by the room. She was a middle-aged black woman, super sweet, super nice, and, I knew what I was paying, I knew what my roommate was paying, I knew what my boy downstairs was paying, so I just Googling how much she paid for the house, how much the mortgage is, and I'm like, dang, she making this every month? In Baltimore, just a little bit of a deeper dive into the landscape, the house I was in, she bought for like $60,000, right? So a mortgage with the taxes in Baltimore, which are really low, she was paying like $600-700 a month on a mortgage, right? Mind you, she paid the house off already, but because she's been renting this for years, $600-700 a month for a mortgage, and she charging $500 to $600 a room. So I'm just like, dang, if she got 3 of these, what can I do with 3 of these? So I'm like, I pay my rent on time. So what I do, I got her number, so I call and I start asking, how did you buy this? And I'm asking her a million questions. And she connected me with her realtor, right, like her broker, and she connected me with a mortgage broker that she used, and I'm asking them a million questions, and they're trying to set me up, and then I'm pitching this to my family. Like, we should all do this, Dad. You got great credit. You got a good job. You should come in. we can buy these houses for 50, 60 grand. They're duplexes, triplexes, right in Baltimore, around a college. I live here. I'm going to be here for the next 3-4 years. You know, I can landlord this. I can find the right people. So I've always had that spirit. And it manifested itself in real estate.
I love that. Correct me if I'm wrong, like, throughout, there's different trades like rapping, basketball, there's like always a bar that someone has set. Michael Jordan, Drake. Is there someone like that for real estate that you guys kind of admired on your way up?
For sure. It's changed as kind of like the progression. But I think, you know, Don Peoples is always the bar for like this black billion-dollar developer, right? So multi-billion-dollar developer, like that's the goal. Like, and he's currently transitioning into banking, right? So I think for me, from a real estate perspective, I think that would be like the goal, right? Like to be that. But some people may say like a Jay Morrison, or, you know, there's a bunch of like celebrity
Faces out there.
Yeah,
Right.
real estate faces, but
I feel there's a lot of faces, but not like a lot of work. I feel, or even a real understanding. I feel like maybe, I feel like sometimes in certain, even our culture, maybe hip hop, these rappers say they own these different things, but I feel like that's kind of a sensationalized version of that. But you guys are really on the groundwork, putting the work in.
sure.
Take me back to the days when you were like first starting out to learn everything. Based off the book that I read, that I remember, there's so many intricacies and so many different terms and so many different like things you need to know to be
It's a
successful.
world.
Yeah.
It's a world, yeah,
So
for sure.
can you explain some of the difficulties and some of just your experience like on the come up learning?
For sure. I think, you know, and I think, you know, Dwight can double down on this too, but like, real estate is a very dynamic industry, right? So it's like, just like music, right? You can be a rapper, you can be a producer, you can be a songwriter, a beat maker, an engineer, right? Like there's so many different components into going and making a finished version. Like when you go buy an album, there's 20 different trades that are a part of that album. Like if I'm building a building, there's so many different trades that go into what the consumer sees, right? So obviously there's a construction aspect, there's a real, you know, kind of real estate broker aspect, there's a financial aspect, right? There's a developer, there's a designer, an architect, like there's so many different components. And I think in order to be equipped and successful, you have to master what it is that you do, your specific trade, but you have to have a good understanding of the industry and other trades and how they complement what it is at what you do, right? So early on, you know, did a little bit of wholesaling, right? Like, hey, I'm learning the market, right? So, hey, you know, I find this property, we get under contract, we sell it, right?
I was just gonna ask. So that's a strategy that I wanted to do getting into it, right? But I learned also to put a property under contract, you need at least what, 4,000 or 5,000. Is that correct?
It's not an amount; it's a percentage.
Talk
So it's a
about it.
percent. So it's a percentage. Typically you put an EMD. It's an earnest money deposit down, right? So like, let's say if you have a house for 100 grand, right? And you know that house, and it's so nuanced, it's so layered. But just kind of giving you a highlight reel. It's like, yo, I have a house that I know Riley's aunt is trying to sell her house. She wants to go to South Carolina, right? She's a motivated seller, right? So I identify that. I'm like, hey, I'll buy your house for 100 grand, right? And she's like, all right, I'll sell it to you for 100 grand. But I know that if somebody goes and puts 60 grand, they can sell a house for 300 grand, right? But, you know, I don't have the finances. I don't have the capacity to do that. So it's like, all right, you know, I'm not the guy that's going to sell it for 300 grand, but I know that guy that sells it for 300 grand is willing to pay 140 grand, right? So I say, all right, I'll get your aunt's house under contract, right, for 100 grand, and I may put 10% down. I may put 1% down, 3.5% down, 5% down. It's all whatever you. Some people put no money down.
And still have it under contract?
Right.
Yeah, because the contract, you now you have what's called equitable rights to the property. That's what the contract does.
Right.
So it's like, all right, the contract, hey, listen, I'm going to give you 100 grand in 30 days or 45 days, 60 days. But I'm going to use my title company and I'm not going to put $1 down on it, right? But I'm going to get it done very fast for you, right? And you trust me because me and your nephew have been close friends and you trust me,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So I get it under contract.
Mhm.
I now have an equitable interest in that property.
And in that contract, that person can't sell it to anybody else.
You can't
for
sell it
30 days.
for the whatever
the term is.
It's a contract.
Okay, for whatever
Yeah.
the duration of the
So
term.
just like you sign to a label,
Yeah,
you
right.
can't release an album and make money off of your likeliness
Yeah.
for
That's
whatever the
period of
term of
time.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So 30 days,
Mhm.
45 days, 60 days. I have that property under contract. I have an equitable interest in that property,
Mhm.
right? So the equitable interest is anything anyone's willing to pay over 100 grand, that's
It's
mine.
yours. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's essentially what wholesaling is.
Mhm.
It's contract flipping. It's I get a contract on this property, I then assign that contract, flip that contract to somebody else
Yeah.
for the
And then you
difference.
keep the difference. Yo,
Yeah.
there's people making bank off that, and then they use that to invest in whatever they're really
It's
trying
a,
to
it's
buy.
a capital raising strategy.
Yes,
for
exactly.
Sure. It's
Exactly. I
it-
want to.
Yeah, because there's three skill sets that you, or three things that you need, three commodities, right? So you need, so there's an intellectual commodity, like I know this market, right? Like knowledge.
Yes,
Then you need, time
Yes.
or money, right?
Right.
So like, if I have the time to do all of the work, that has value.
Yes.
If I have the expertise,
Mhm.
experience, or knowledge, that's worth something. If I have money, obviously money has a monetary value. So,
And just to add on, you also need, personal skills, right? Like you gotta be able to, have a conversation with someone. You gotta remember, this is someone's home. There's, there's, history behind it, value in it, right? This may be a house that they grew up in, or this may be a house that, their mom, raised them, or may have passed away, and then something like that. So you gotta come in and be able to have that dialogue and gain that trust with this person, right? And make them feel comfortable and say, okay, I trust Laquan. He's gonna do the right thing, right? And it's not that you're not doing the right thing, but some people in the business, they'll go out and try to undercut people, and but essentially you got to have that capability to have that discussion and dialogue and be able to communicate and build trust, right? So. But wholesaling, like you said, is definitely a good way to get in the market, a good way to start learning real estate, seeing contracts, right? And also building, what do you call it, buyer's list, right? So, now you have a list of, qualified buyers, and, these are people with expendable capital.
They're looking to
They're
buy.
looking
There's
to buy.
people who post. You ever go around and see them signs? I will buy a house for cash.
Yeah.
Like I went around.
those are mostly wholesalers, though.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not, people
I didn't know
who,
that. That's great info because I wrote a whole bunch of those down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you gotta
Those are
think like,
wholesalers.
if you're someone with, a lot of money, like, you may not wanna have to sift through 100 calls to get the deal that you want. So, the purpose of a wholesaler is to say, I know how much Laquan wants to spend, I know what's his range, I'm only sending him deals that's within his criteria. And now Laquan doesn't have to get 100 calls from people who,
Just getting qualified deals.
they're getting qualified deals.
Yeah. And that's an entry point. And I think to Dwight's point, it's like it's a good way to start. It's like playing in an AAU league, right? Like before you get to, it's like what was it, preseason, right? So you get into the industry. You may not have the capital, you may not have the credit, you may not have the income to do some actual real estate deals, but it's a way to get an understanding for the industry because it's several skill sets that you're going to have to sharpen to be a good wholesaler and really make money, right? You're going to have to market, right? Like you're going to have to find qualified deals. You're going to have to be able to analyze and underwrite deals. And then you're going to have to understand construction at a very surface level because you're going to want to have to get contractors in there because you're basically building out a deal for someone like myself or Dwight.
It
Right.
needs to have those details.
It has to be a qualified deal because, like Dwight said, I'm not gonna. If you're sending me, lackluster deals, I'm not gonna. Is this a? Can I say shitty deals on the show?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
you can curse. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
It's fine.
you're not gonna send me. Yeah, I don't know if this was like Joe Rogan
No,
or
no,
this
no,
was
no,
like
Better.
Filtered.
yeah. Now 100% is black owned.
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
better. But
Oh, good, continue.
oh yeah, so it's you know, I'm not, if you're sending me shitty deals as a wholesaler, I'm not gonna buy. Yeah, I'm not gonna consider your emails, text, calls, whatever.
Not even blind.
So good, yeah, exactly. So as good wholesalers, you want to make sure that you understand underwriting, right? Like how the bank is going to finance this deal. You want to understand construction, how contractors are going to quote on this deal. You want to actually get contractors out and quote on your projects, right? To give them, hey, I got these 3 quotes, which is good for contractors because if they got the best quote, and it's like, I'm giving you a package deal. I'm giving you the contract, I already got the quote. You know, I already got the underwriting for this. I already have the contract. I have X, Y, and Z. I'm giving you a ready-to-go deal. The day you close, you can start construction because this guy's already walked the property like 5 times.
Right.
You know, so being a good wholesaler, it starts to refine your skill set, and you can grow within the industry, right? And it depends on your trajectory. I think we've been fortunate enough to grow at an accelerated rate where we didn't have to stay in those purgatories too long. So we've been able to move up very fast and aggressively. But
were you given examples of what a bad deal looks like during your studies, or did you have to experience a bad deal in order to know to avoid it the next time?
I was fortunate, right? So like in college, I had a friend, and his father is a big developer in DC, and they're Nigerian, and his 2 older brothers are also developers. So I was able to sit back and watch a lot, and that's where I got into wholesaling because I'm finding deals for them. You know, like we got, here, we got this, we got that, and make a little 1,000, 1,500 because obviously it's family, so it's close. And then, so we were able to look at good and bad deals from their perspective. From, his dad, 40 years, his brother's 10 years, right? So we were able to kind of fast track our learning. And then, we come in with a certain education level, so we pick up on things a little bit faster, right? So like the mathematics of it, analytical, that stuff we already kind of got from school and got from being in the, professional workspace already. So it was like, 70% margins, okay, 30%, we understand this. So, okay, I know to stay away from that, right? If it doesn't meet this metric, I stay away from it. Everything else is just more money in my pocket,
Okay. I guess you had a similar answer?
Yeah, similar. In terms of a bad deal, that was the question.
Right.
We kind of learned to, what to stay away from, right? And I think where we, like Laquan said, we pick up, pretty soon. So, just doing a lot of research, a lot of, and that's the age we live in now. Is just, everything's on the internet, right? So like, we can kind of tell, all right, if we're wholesaling this property in, Broadway, like, or, Roselle, we know that's market, right? So like, just doing, and just to go back, like, myself, I was fortunate enough to kind of go, was raised around construction. So like my uncle, he had his own construction company for over 20 years. My dad, before he lost, his sites, he was into construction. So from that perspective, I was able to, go into, some of these properties and say, hey, because we were focused in Newark for a while. And, some of the MEPs and things like that,
Mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
Yeah, sorry.
MEP.
Sorry.
So, I definitely didn't know. I acted like I did.
I thought in my head, like, yeah.
I'm about to Google this shit right now. Like.
Yeah, so like you can, from that perspective, like Laquan said, we were fortunate, and thanks to it's all due to God, and we were able to pick up and kind of trailblaze this experience that we're on now, without too much of the
stand in one place too long.
Right.
You didn't have to, like, some people wholesale for 5-10 years before they have it together enough to move to another level, or they just stay there. They just
Get
stay
comfortable.
in. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you're a host, there are people that do, like, I had a friend in Baltimore, Morgan is in Baltimore, he was doing like $1 million a year in wholesaling.
Wow. Because he was going hard. He had a system.
He developed a system. He was going hard.
And then he developed the
He
system.
worked smart too. So he's from like the Ukraine, cool dude. He was younger than me. He was smart. He went to Loyola. So Baltimore is like weird because it's like has like 11 colleges all in the same city. So you gotta like it's a really diverse city. So like you can be in, you never know. Like he came under some bigger wholesalers in the city, and then he broke off and did his own thing, and then we got in contact with him because he actually sold us a property. We bought a property from him, and he was making like 10, 15 bands on the property, but he was spending $50,000 a month in marketing. He was spending $50,000, so he saved up his money. Like he's living in like a closet in Baltimore, and like Baltimore's cheap.
Right.
You can get like a 1,100 square foot apartment in Baltimore for like $700. So he's like renting out, like he's renting an apartment. His friends are renting the room, so he's saving all his money. He's going to school, and he's just saving up, doing a couple of wholesale deals,
doing everything,
and like
living below his means on purpose.
He's doing $1 million a year, and he's driving like this like beat up Subaru, dirty, just super cool dude, bubbly, asking everybody questions at all of the real estate meetups. Nobody know that he's doing $1 million a year. Nobody knew that he was doing $1 million a year. He was killing it. But he's doing. I haven't. His name is Jorgen. I haven't talked to him in like 2 years, but I'm sure he's still doing it. Yeah.
So what you make is dependent on your drive, because you kind of you want to transition away from wholesale, but you saw people successful in wholesale making millions. So I guess what made you divert from that if the possibilities are still endless?
Listen, Hove said it. We talking billions.
Okay.
Like it's possible. He was actually we were considering my partner and Emmanuel and I at the time. We were like, listen, he's doing $1 million a year. We locked in 1 or 2 investors, right? And we were doing flips, and he's like trying to break into flips as hard as possible. We're like, listen, we can merge this. We're all young, right? We're all in Baltimore, and we're talking about merging, and I just knew my highest and best use was not in wholesaling. It just wasn't, right? Like it just wasn't. So it's just, you just got to know yourself. Self-actualization is really one of them key components of success.
I agree.
You got to know who you are. You got to know your abilities, what you're comfortable with, and that's going to determine. You're measured not by what you say, and this is going to sound like Bruce Lee, like cliche. Like you're not measured by what you say yes to. You're measured by what you say no to. So I'm just like, I'm like, nah, I'm not. Wholesaling, that's not for me. We could do it. We can make a couple dollars on it here and there, but I've always had this vision that I was going to buy plots of land and develop communities. Like that's like when I'm 50 in my rocking chair, and I told these guys like early on, and I asked them, I'm like, listen, when you're like 60 in your rocking chair and you're looking out at your like 1,000 acres and your grandkids are like ATV and whatever, I think I was talking to Satir about this. We may have talked about this too, but I'm like, like when you're looking back, like what you do, like what were you doing, And I'm like,
you asked me, what would you want to be remembered?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I asked a bunch of like fake philosophical questions.
They're needed though. I feel they kind of add a different perspective to people's lives.
Yeah, we all try to figure each other out in different ways.
Right.
But I'm just like, what would you do? And I'm like, and I told him, I'm like, listen, I'm on a yacht, right? And I'm on like this like huge boat. We're some festival. We're off the coast of Greece. Our kids are all playing in the water together, and I'm just sitting at a table like a little bit bigger than this, and we're having dinner, the adults, and I'm looking around the table, and everybody at the table, I made a millionaire, right? Like, it's about how many people that's my.
How many lives did you change? Yeah,
like how many people, and then I'm just looking at everybody at the table, and how many people that look like us that we hire, right? So there's a network of thousands of black wealthy, people from this table and affected, the residual impact. Like that's my thing. Like, and I want to build small communities, right? I want to do, you know what they're doing in Roselle Park, Westfield, Cranford, like those big complexes where you got 300 units at the top, 10 stores at the bottom. Like those are the things that I want to do. and me spending more time wholesaling is not going to get me there.
Right. You need a bigger bite.
Yeah.
I get it.
And the guys, like, they're like, yeah, listen, shit sound good to me.
Yeah, and it's funny, we actually had that conversation on our way back from our last trip.
Oh, yeah,
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, from Johnstown.
And you know, we were. It's funny. We were having a discussion. We was kind of like debating who was greater, or.
Oh yeah.
So this is gonna take us away a little bit, but you know, he feels as though Chris Brown is just as talented as Michael Jackson, right?
I feel
That's accurate.
I feel like Chris Brown would have been at the same level or greater than Michael Jackson.
Chris Brown and Beyonce, I put up there.
Okay, you know, and I come from, you know, my parents is a little bit older than his parents, right? So like I grew up, you know, straight Patti LaBelle, you know, even going back to stylistics. Like,
I'm on his mom's playlist. I'm on his playlist.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm like, there's no way Michael Jackson is, you know, even like Chris Brown's not even on Michael Jackson level, right? And we're not gonna, you know, but just going to the story, it's like, okay, when we got into this whole discussion, like, okay, what defines someone's talent, or like what defines someone's greatness, right? And then, you know, we went through maybe 4 hours of going back and forth.
The longest I've ever argued with this guy. He doesn't argue.
But we came. It was a good conversation because we ultimately started to pick each other's brain and see how we, you know, each other think. And it's like, you know, I said to him, like, you know, greatness is not defined by how much you can do. Like, so like, you know, Zion Williamson can jump, do a 720 in the air and windmill and backflip and all that stuff, but he's not as great as Tim Duncan. You know, it's an unfair comparison right now. But you know, Tim Duncan, his leadership skills, his, you know, ability, his intangibles, his ability to make people around him better, and put people in position to, you know, be their best selves. That's the true definition of greatness, right?
So that's the thing, though, bro. Like, I think that's great, right? And you're talking about intangibles, but I'm just like, okay, who's superhuman, right? Like, I'm looking at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's an amazing dancer, right? He's an amazing singer, right? But I'm looking at Chris Brown. I'm like, yo, the guy can ball. Like, he can play basketball. What? Like, how many things do you touch? Well, maybe not NBA.
No, they've considered him.
No, for sure.
They've said that he played Kyrie Irving and gave him a run for his money.
Now, that's what I'm saying. Like,
he got the height.
He got the height and the athleticism.
Yeah, so he's like how many things do you do that's great? Like, he can play basketball.
He can paint
really well. He can dance. I personally think he's a better dancer than Michael Jackson. Granted that Michael Jackson's the originator, right? But Chris Brown at 6'3" can stand straight up and do a backflip.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's impressive. Then he can sing as good as Mike, right? He can rap.
Maybe to simplify this a bit more, I feel like you're like...
Wait. I feel like I know what you're going to say, but I'm not going to...
I feel like you're kind of expressing, like, resume, what people have done, and you're talking about ability.
Yes, I was going to say...
Resume versus ability.
He's talking about attribute, and he's talking about influence.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, how dynamic are you, right? It started from, like, Denzel versus Johnny Depp, right? And I'm like, Johnny Depp, Denzel, like, his range is lower to me.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp range is high. Like, Johnny Depp can, Jack Sparrow, Sweeney Todd, like, all of them are different people. They're different people. Yeah, he's like, they're all weirdos. But, like, they're very different weirdos, though.
Facts, yeah.
Like, I'm like, I can watch a Johnny Depp movie and not be like, yo, this is Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
But I can watch a Samuel L. Jackson movie and be like, this is fucking Samuel L. Jackson.
Same Samuel.
You know what I mean? This is Denzel.
They get hired for their personality. Yeah.
Really? I'm like, yo, this is Denzel.
Yeah.
This one is Denzel. I'm like, Johnny. I don't even know the real Johnny Depp because he, as an actor, he becomes another person, and that to me, because he's so dynamic, that makes him a great actor. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, Chris Brown, because he can dance so well. Like, I can go to a Chris Brown show, and like, be very entertained. He can do a million things. He can like he can act well. He can dance, he can sing, he can rap, he can paint, he can make clothing, he can do all this stuff very well at a high level, competitively with whoever does it in that realm.
So let's tie it to your field. Like, what makes a successful agent? Is it someone who has this natural ability to sell and be personable and make these people comfortable enough to buy? Or is it the work, the information you gain through your studies, and what's the genetic makeup of a successful real estate agent?
Well, developer.
Or developer, sorry.
We're
I'm sorry.
developer. We haven't even gotten to what we actually do.
My bad.
But yeah, so we actually had this conversation too. He's like, listen, I have a construction company, which is respected, like it's a part of real estate. Like what are you constructing? Real estate, right? He's like, have a construction company that does 150 million. But I personally have a development firm similar to our structure, and we have the asset management, we have a fund, we have the construction, and all of the companies together do 150 million. Which company is better, right?
The one with all the functions.
The function, because my ceiling's higher.
Yes, the potential of growth.
The upside is higher.
Yes.
That was my perspective, and we do it really well. And now, because I'm diversified, let's say people are not renovating as much and the construction goes down, I still have two other functionalities that are holding my business afloat.
More longevity.
Exactly. So the market can be impacted, and that was my perspective. But I think, it's like a jack of all trades or a master of none. Like, if you're a master at what you do, obviously that makes you great, right? And I don't discredit what he's saying. What he's saying is right. And he had a scenario that the listeners and everybody besides us three may not understand, but he hit me with a scenario, and I'm like, you know what? That's something to think about, right? Like he was talking about some players, some athletes out of high school. Who's the greater athlete, right? He was talking about Kendall, right? I'm like, yo, Kendall's a great athlete. To me, to my point, Kendall was a great athlete because he went to college for football, he went to the NFL, but he also was like the best person at track, and he went to states with the basketball team.
Yeah.
So he was like a triple threat. Like every sport he did,
Influence.
he went to states that year. Everyone,
they won
football,
They
track,
won.
they went
They won the states in basketball.
in basketball. We won states and sectionals in track with Kendall. So Kendall had accolade for that, and I think football. They went the furthest that season with Kendall and Satir, right?
No, that was 2 years prior. So they went pretty far.
It was with Kendall,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, yo, that's a great athlete.
Yeah.
Like that's a
It makes a
horse.
big difference.
But then he was talking about like Big Moody, and he was like, yo,
Like Big Moody, he, this guy, transformed from his junior year not playing at all, like 12th man on the bench, to over the summer developing and honing in on his skills, and being the leader, both talent-wise and, motivationally, of his team, right? And was able to win a state championship, right? As the leading, player.
That's
So,
big.
to be able to, not someone telling you you're not good enough, you barely made the team, to, being all, first team all conference with, Dexter Strickland and, people that's in the NBA now, it's like, that's to me, and it's all subjective, right?
Right.
But to me, it's like greatness is not really defined by, what you do per se. It's like,
How you do it.
how you surround yourself with the people, right? And say, hey, this is what my objective is, right? And being really good at what you do and then influence the people around you, right? So like that to me is true greatness. Now, Jay-Z is like my greatest, my favorite rapper of all time, right? But look at, not just because of his music, but look at him, influentially.
Yes.
Like he framed my mind into thinking business
Me too.
by just listening to a song,
Me too.
Right.
right? And millions of others, right? Where someone like a Lil Wayne, back in 06, 08 when he was really good, he wasn't talking about the same things Jay-Z was, right? He was talking about lean, and so to me, my mindset is like, okay, which one am I gonna go with? I'm gonna go with Jay-Z because of what he meant to me. Right. So that's just my mind, but I understand what he's saying, and many other people may have the same opinion on it.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
I agree with him. Yeah, just like, yo.
You have to, you have to have the vision, right? Like like what we're doing, you're literally taking a, blighted, dilapidated area and have the vision and, being able to see 5 to 10 years ahead of what's in front of you,
Yeah.
right? So you got to be a visionary, right? And then you got to have the, you got to have the balls, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're young, we you know, there's a lot of cards stacked against us, right? We're black, right? So, you know, we didn't come from, you know, $1 million. We didn't come from, you know, we came from stable homes, but not, you know, everything we're doing now is based off of, you know, our will. And, you know, we're, you know, going into a predominantly white neighborhood, right? It's like 70%, 70% Caucasian, right? And where, you know, the city leadership, and we'll go into, you know, what we're doing, but the city leadership is predominantly white. I don't think there's one black seat there, right? So like we're sitting at tables like this, coming in, you know, dressed in suits, right? And telling them like, you know, hey, this is our plan. This is what we're gonna do.
Asking them for $2.7 million.
$2.7 million,
Right.
right? And you know,
not really asking, but
proposing.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, and then having the ability to kind of bridge the gap, right? So understanding that, you know, we're young, you know, and we're not experienced, right? So putting together people who have the experience, right? Like not being so filled with pride and saying, I'm going to do this on my own. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm the face of this, right? Like we all kind of share the same, you know, demeanor. It's like, yo, I'm good. You know what I mean? Y'all could take the head, y'all could take the lead. You know, that didn't sound right, but
Yeah.
you know,
We go just brush right past that.
y'all could
We grown.
yeah, just sip that wine. You know what I'm saying?
get a little yellow tail on that one.
But you know, being able to say, you know, Miss So and So, or you know, Doctor So and So, like, you know, this is what we're planning to do. How, you know, we believe you can add service to us and being able to help us in this way, right? And so, you know, as a developer, you know, you want to be able to grab from this person, you know, learn from this person, to put it all together, because it's not just, you know, it's multidimensional, right?
Yeah.
So like, and I think that's why we really are, you know, where we are now, because we're thinkers, right? Like we, you know, think outside the box, you know, and Riley knows this, like we've had hundreds of conversations. Every time we talk, like we might not talk every day, we might not talk every month, but when we talk, it's like we pick right up where we left off.
And it's
like,
always a like historic conversation.
Yeah.
We always talk about some shit that like it makes us a better person by the time we're done with that conversation. Like
Sure.
literally.
Right.
When we link up, it's literally like a life-changing conversation. Like it's like we lived life for a couple months and then we come back and have a conversation about what we were doing.
Every conversation's a podcast.
Yeah, that's how it be.
I think that's what makes a real friendship.
I agree.
yeah.
That's why we've been around each other for so long.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially with Laquan too. Like whenever he hits me up, you know what I'm saying? Like last time he called me, we were on the phone for like a good hour. You know what I'm saying? We've never talked on the phone that long, but it felt so regular because we're grown and we have so many similarities in how we think and how we're perceiving things. It's like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
But you know, and then just to share what we do, because I know like people
Very
are like,
interested.
who are we? Who are we?
Who are these guys?
Who are these guys? Yeah, we just in here just talking.
Dropping hella game, but not
Right.
really sharing who you are. Actually,
Yeah, but so we
That's a
have-
talent.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
yeah, it's just been so natural. We just been on tangents after tangents. It's like Family Guy.
Dropping hella gems.
Remember that time where and then boom, we're gone. No, so we started this real estate development firm. We actually own just around 80,000 plus square feet of mixed-use commercial real estate. So we own a pretty substantial stake in the central business district of a small town in western Pennsylvania. So we're looking to grow our portfolio to somewhere around 200,000 to 300,000 square feet in the next 3 years. I think one of our biggest accomplishments is developing an advisory board for our company. So we've garnered the talents of some of the best as it relates to black professionals in and around development. So we have an advisor, Reginald Canal, and I love to give him shout-outs because they literally, I consider what we do an intergenerational vehicle, right? We combat, you know, what was displayed in the Willie Lynch letter, right? Like that premise of divide and conquer in our community, young versus old, light skin versus dark skin, brains versus bronze. Like we really take pride in everybody having a uniqueness about them and a specific skill set and experience in life and viewpoint, and bringing that to the table to push our community forward and push this business forward, but for what we do for our community. So Reginald Canal is one of our advisors. We love him to death. He has over 20 years in commercial banking experience and wealth advisement. So he's worked for HSBC, HSBC in New York, in commercial and I think in investment banking as well. And he's a wealth advisor now. And I mean, the guy has literally connected a lot of the dots for us from a fundraising perspective and helping us raise capital, connecting us to major players. We actually had our second meeting with a leadership team in investment banking and commercial banking with JP Morgan Chase and the CDFI with True Fund, discussing our development opportunities and how that could be a great fit. It was an urban team from JP Morgan. And I mean, like, that doesn't happen, right? Like, in our community, we don't get access to executives at JP Morgan to talk about our investment opportunity and how we finance them and how we restructure them to be attractive for those, institutional partners, right? We have another advisor, Courtney Sloan, love her to death. She's actually an nationally acclaimed and award-winning designer and developer. So she's designed BET's headquarters.
Wow.
She's designed for Disney. She's designed theme parks. I think one of the first black installments at Disney. She's designed for Sony. She's designed for P. Diddy. She's designed for Queen Latifah. She actually designed all like the flagships for like a Nietzsche and like all of those black designers and whatnot. So she's like super like lit. It's hard to get on the phone. Well, not for us, but like,
that was the low key flex.
No. Well, I'm just saying, like, it would be tough to. Like, she's like. He said, we hit on the text. But no, she's the real deal, right? Like, we have an advisor, Veronica Sutton. She's done, I think it's like over $40 million in developments. She's developing a $22 million 46 unit luxury condominium complex in Jersey City right now in the community park section. She's actually on the development for Queen Latifah in Newark. She's doing that with her. She's consulting on that. She's the truth. She's been she was the president of the Urban League at Hudson County. She's a developer's developer.
How do you get these people on your side? Obviously, you had to put the work in to get in the same space as them, but what was the process like to even get these people to believe in your belief?
Okay, so yeah, I want to get to your question. I don't want to like break it off because I don't want to. We got other advisors that are equally as great.
I'm sure.
So, we have Andrew Coombs, he's worked for KPMG and Deloitte, like the top consulting firms nationally, internationally. He has his own accounting practice in North New Jersey. Combs CPA.
Check him out.
Go check him out. Like, he won't cook the books, but he'll get your books right though. And then we have Roosevelt Dinette, who is an attorney by trade. He specializes in business and real estate, and he works with what's his name? Not Wayne Wonder. Prince Wonder. He was a producer with the Fugees. Like all of the strings and all of that stuff with Wyclef, like that's him, right? So like large developers in Newark, large kind of business owners, right? Some of the top business owners in the Newark, New Jersey area, like a lot of them are billionaires, believe it or not. But he's like, we were able to garner talents in respective fields in finance and the legal, design, development perspective, and put this amazing board together. And how we got to them is because we put in hard work, right? Like, we didn't come to them with nothing asking for help. We came to them literally at the precipice of like, okay, we've put an immense amount of work in, right? We're right there, right? We don't need you. We would love your help to be a part of this. And people do for those who do for themselves. So we already raised the money. We already purchased the assets. We already had the relationships with the city, right? We already had the business infrastructure. But it was just like, okay, we got all of these tools we can figure out how to use them on our own. We'll be fucking trying to drill when we should be sawing, right? And we'll figure it out eventually. But you've been here, right? You know, we're looking to put this thing together, so it would be amazing if you can come for the journey. And a lot of them, they do it out the labor of love, right? Like they see us, they see how hard we work, they see what type of people we are and the character we have, and they're just like, listen, like,
What do you need me to do?
What do you need me to do? And that's it. And it has been, and you know, you have to come from credible sources. So you got to win a person over, and then get access to a bigger network, and win that group of people, and then get back. You know, so it's work. It's political, right? But it's fulfilling, right? Like to be able to do this is dope. Like we have, like I said before, we got like 80,000 square feet mixed use commercial, a couple of residential projects. We have a fund. We've been able to raise like just over 200,000 in the fund, and growing because we still have capital like rounds closing. You know, we got the construction company, so we build, we design, and we finance our projects ourselves. So we, you know.
And we have an asset management company.
Oh yeah, we have an asset management company. So we manage the assets after they're developed.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to manage our own assets in-house. So.
Are y'all hiring?
He said, y'all niggas hiring?
Yes. Y'all niggas getting to it.
I mean, if you could swing a hammer. You guys are taking investors though, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I think I mentioned to you because I'm looking to be to invest and be a part owner of their company because they're killing it. And I'll give them my money. Because
I was half serious, half not. So I'm definitely invest for sure. Take me back to like maybe the first real victory in your industry, like where you really kind of settled into your title. Like you probably got the title before the real victory of a developer. Was there a real milestone or a real moment that stands out in your minds where you felt like, okay, I'm on the right path. This is what I'm meant to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
I mean, it was so many moments like that, right? Like where we celebrate the small ones, right? So it's just like, you know, when we landed the board and everybody said yes, we were like, oh, you know, when we purchased the assets, when we raised our first round, right?
Yeah, I would say the first
time we saw 6 figures in our account.
Yeah, so we
business account.
You saw my face. That's why you know it's business account.
We formed a company. Formally, like what, in November?
No, not last year. A year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago. I mean, so
as this entity.
The first 2 months, the first 2.5, 3 months, we were able to raise a little over 140,
like 160,
$160,000 in like a little less than 3 months.
Actually, we got commitments in like a few weeks, but it took us a while to get there. Though. Like we were doing a lot of research, taking a lot of trips.
Sleepless nights?
Yeah, this was years.
Sure.
This was years of research,
like,
years of going out to the market, years of.
Because you gotta have
we had to
trust you.
We had to be the experts,
Yeah.
Of course,
first.
Absolutely.
And it's funny too. Like hindsight is 20/20. Like the pitch that we pitched when we raised like our first $100 grand
It was ridiculous.
was like nothing compared to our pitch now. Right? It was like I'm looking back. I'm like I would have did that. You know, like. But it was, but we were serious, right? And we did the groundwork. We just didn't know how to package it.
All right.
Because we got so much information on the market, like, it's really gross. Like we know, like I know why the bus comes at 12:16 versus 12:14 when it's scheduled, right? Like we know that much information about the city.
And we knew so much that the city leadership, the first time we went out there, we were telling them information about their city that they didn't even know, right? Like, or that they knew but didn't put it together, right?
Yeah,
So,
like the dots.
Yeah.
Literally, we've had impact, and it's we go out and get information, right? Like so, just one example, we had proposed the city to do horizontal subdivision, right? So they have this issue where a lot of assets downtown have owner-operators. So that's like if I own Joe's Sub Shack, right? The market is so affordable that it's cheaper for me to buy the building than to rent in the building, right? Which presents a lucrative opportunity for investors, right? It's cheaper for me to purchase the building. Like, if I purchase the building, I'm always going to cash flow positive, right? Because the rent is aggressive there. Because most of the market rents, right? And there's a bunch of data to go into why. But it's cheaper to purchase. So a lot of savvy business owners, they're going to purchase the building, but now you have story 2, 3, 4, 5 vacant because these owner-operators don't have the appetite to do the necessary renovations, or maybe even the capital to do the renovations to the building in order to produce more cash flow. They don't see the opportunity clearly. So what they do is they just focus on the sub shop.
And they have that open space. Just
Open space upstairs right above them.
Just, wow.
Yeah. So what happens is now the city, right, you have less density in the downtown area, which is no good. Like imagine if New York is less dense and it's suffering.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally, financially, yeah.
Right. So imagine if like you now have 5 stories of X amount of square feet that don't have people living there.
It's just vacant.
It's vacant, right? So the businesses can't survive the way they can't perform the way they need to perform. It's just a real, like, it's a lot of residual impact. So we're like, listen, there's an easy way to solve this problem. And they just hadn't thought of it. It's just a small town. It's like horizontal subdivision, right? You subdivide the commercial space at the bottom and the residential space. The owner can sell that space to a developer and make money and inject that and to make their business more profitable, right? To grow their business in whatever way, or take a vacation, whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And now the city increases their tax basis because now they have it subdivided. So these are 2 deeds, 2 taxable entities, right? And now they're generating more tax income, and then you get more density, which causes more business traffic.
And the people who live upstairs are going to want to eat some subs.
Exactly. So, generate more. So we propose this. We propose this into like what, our 4th meeting with the city or with the county. This was with the county, and they're like, "What? Horizontal subdivision? Why didn't I think of that?
Right.
Let's do this." And then like now they're putting the pedal to the metal, and we've proposed a few different solutions to problems. So really, we're developers. Like we develop assets, but it's
Problem solving.
Yeah, it's more urban development, right? Like so we don't just focus on hard assets, right? Because our asset management, we're acquiring businesses locally to partner in our commercial. So we're not like leasing out commercial space. We're taking equity in the businesses and then partnering with them in our commercial space and helping grow that business. Because the way commercial property is evaluated, it's not evaluated based on what the building next door is worth. It's based on the income it produces. It's valued like a business, based on your net operating income. So if I can help that business perform better, I increase the value of the building. I then have more equity that I can pull out and then buy more property. Yeah, it's intricate.
I feel like a student in a fucking class. I have so many questions.
All right, let's go.
It sounds like how you explained it, the way I internalized it all, it seems like both of you guys' business could have either thrived or kind of tanked a bit last year during COVID with the closing of all these businesses. What was like the trajectory and the contingency plans you guys had in place to avoid tanking during last year with COVID and businesses?
Oh, sorry. So I think the biggest challenge for us last year with COVID is just the in-person aspect of it, right? Like we were in the development, we're still in the development phase, right? So we're like building these buildings out and the construction, right? Like Governor Wolf, so these are in Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf shut down, right? And that really affected, obviously, our business. We couldn't do construction, right? So that, elongates your timeline, right? Your project timeline. But I think we're fortunate enough and we've been blessed with really good timing, right? Where last year was a really good year for us, right? Like if you look at, like we were able to take a step back. We weren't 2 years into our development, 3 years into our development where we're like, okay, shit, like we build 4 restaurants with 500 seats in them. And now, based on this pandemic, we know that dining sizes are becoming smaller or obsolete, right? So we're developing what these buildings will exist as in this space in the eye of the storm. So now I can be cognizant of what's happening with COVID and how other more established businesses are pivoting. And now I can build the most efficient model. So I think we're fortunate that COVID happened when it did, right?
Because you were still in like development.
We were
stages.
still in an early development stage, so I think if
You were
we
able to adjust.
yeah, it didn't impact us as negatively as it did positively last year because
It created more opportunities.
It created more opportunities. So now we're looking at the spaces, the commercial spaces, and our potential partners. And we're like, okay, what does a restaurant look like post-COVID? More online orders, right? You're doing more DoorDash, Uber Eats, Seamless, right? Grubhub. So we're like, okay, wait. Let's design this with bigger kitchens, right? Because they're going to be doing more X than our initial plan is bigger dining spaces because you want to get more people in the door, but you want less people in the door now, right? So those are things that we've been fortunate enough to like put into our buildings where we have this project 215 Franklin where we were trying to rack our brains on like how do we fit more units in here. But maybe the play and what we eventually wind up doing is, okay, maybe we reduce it to a 5-unit building, right? Do bigger spaces, right? And then the common areas, right? We do an amenity every floor. We don't have to do a gym and a lounge just do a small gym, right, on every floor where the people that live on that floor share that gym. And now the amenity, it meets your kind of like public safety standard. Right. So, this thing ever happened. What does like life look like post-COVID? We're able to apply that theory to our development projects. So I think we're fortunate that, we weren't too far along, in development when this thing happened.
When you're investing, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, but from a fundraising perspective, it did take a toll on us. We, like I said, we hit the gates hard. We raising this money in no time, and it's looking peachy, right? And we actually did an event. Riley, I don't know if you were there.
I know
in Elizabeth.
I remember. I didn't make it, but I heard a lot about it.
We did a Monte Carlo event where we rented out we had some people from Atlantic City come and bring their blackjack tables and poker and stuff like that, and craps, and we the money that we raised from the purchase of the tickets and donations went to house a family in need in the area, in the market that we're in, for a year, right? So we had this the housing authority, they chose a family that was currently homeless, and then we were to house them for a year, right? And then we, in that same event, whoever purchased a ticket, whether you were there or not, you were entered into the raffle, and you were able to win a duplex, right? So free and clear, like just transfer the paper.
Wish I showed up.
Right. So
we actually gave away a 4-unit.
Yeah. So it was a young lady from Patterson. She actually, her and her friend saw it on Instagram and was like, "Hey, we gotta go." It was supposed to be like 10 of them, and there was only 2 of them that her and her friend that showed up, and they actually won it. And then we was like, well, let's just give her this one. And it was actually a 4-unit. 2 of the units are already rented out, right?
Damn,
so
half of the work done.
Half the work done,
And she don't pay a mortgage, nothing.
Yeah.
What?
It's free and clear. Yeah, she got it free and clear.
Wow.
Yeah, we purchased the property, and she's now
The owner.
the owner of it. So
That's crazy.
we were, raising money and getting attention, right? And then COVID hit, back in March, and it kind of like, slowed things down, from multiple perspectives. People just not being enthusiastic into investing during the, pandemic, people losing their jobs, future is uncertain, right? So they have less of an appetite to invest, we usually do, every quarter we were doing a investor trip. So we would transport, we would get some vans, and we would drive down to the market, and we would take a tour around our portfolio, go downtown, have lunch with the city leadership.
Luncheon, yeah.
So we would do a luncheon and have the housing authority of the county, the city, just people from all different perspectives and roles, and they were actually there to meet and talk to the investors, so the investors could get a face-to-face as to get a feel from the city leadership, and then we would go on a tour, right? And then from there, you would kind of know, all right, this is an investment that I want to be a part of. I met the team, the team looks, you know, and they have a good feel about them, right? And then the city itself just looks like, if you were to go there, like everyone that has been there said, I would retire there, or I would.
It's a beautiful town.
I would live there. It sits in the valley of two mountains, and you're just
aesthetically it's beautiful.
You're looking around, you're just like, wow. You know, there's bike trails, and there's a canal going throughout the city. A river, like it looks really nice. It's just, you know, a little outdated. Needs some tender love and care, but yeah. So from that perspective of fundraising, you know, it slowed us down a little bit, but I think that was a blessing in disguise because. You know, we, like Laquan said, we were able to work, you know, on the business, right? So like during this downtime of us not, you know, taking trips out there, spending money to do these trips, we were able to just
like
kind of
$2,000 a trip or something like that.
Yeah, we were able to just like hone in and okay, you know, what do we need to do as a company to be a better company, right? Like what are the areas that we can identify that'll bring in revenue for us, right? What can we do for our next investor trips that'll just blow people out of the park, right? So we had this, we're actually going to do a virtual investor trip. So we kind of adjusted, and we'll be recording that in about 2 to 3 weeks.
24, I think it's the 24th.
Yeah, so it'll be an virtual investor trip, you know, go on and you can have the same experience but from a screen, right? And, you know, I think now people are starting to, you know, feel like, okay, it's a little bit safe. You know, you got the vaccine coming out and, you know, the new regime in the White House now. So, like, you know, people are a little bit more comfortable. But, again, you know, you never know. You know, we live in a, you know, 2020 was a crazy year. So, but I think, you know, like I said, we did the best we can in terms of pivoting and staying focused on the task at hand, even though we were a little, you know, underfunded from a perspective of us, you know, attacking aggressively.
Yeah.
That helped us to kind of reshape our focus a little bit and our plan. And now, you know, now that we're moving ahead, we're able to know exactly where we're going to go and what we're going to do.
Yeah, and we're just like optimistic, right? So like.
Seems like you gotta be.
Yeah, we're looking at the situation and we're just like, okay, there are challenges, but they're going to be challenges, COVID, non-COVID, right? But I think we're looking at the situation. We're like, listen, this really afforded us some opportunities to slow the pace down, right? Like Dwight said, and then, you know, I would much rather have been in a position that we were as it related to our developments when COVID hit versus 2 years from now, right? Because that could have put us under. I mean, there are people that are developing, you know, theaters right now. Think about that, like restaurant. Like I just seen someone finish a restaurant like 45 days ago. Like, think about that. Like you put 1 point something into a restaurant right now, and you're already done, or you're just finishing. Like that would scare me, you know. So
you gotta have faith for that.
You know, and you got a big, beautiful dining area that you already paid for, big granite and all this, like, you know. So, and the world may never recenter the same way. Right, so you know it's scary. So I think we're very fortunate to be in the position we're in because I can be cognizant of like, okay, this is how we need to build. This business popped back this way, and in one of our projects, it's a 15,000 square foot building. It's a beautiful historic building. It's actually at the corner of Franklin and Main, which is like Fifth Ave. What is it? Where's Tiffany's downtown? In Manhattan. It's like Fifth Ave, Tiffany, like you're near Central Park, right?
Okay.
Like of the city. Like it's right downtown, and we're gonna put a boutique hotel there. And we decided to make that decision in the midst of COVID because we were like, listen, we had this other building dedicated to it, and it was a lot more hotel rooms. There's a lot more hotel rooms, and we're like, it might be too big. It might not be in our best interest to go this big hotel. So we just like, listen, actually, and we wound up acquiring this building in the middle of the pandemic, and we're like, this would be a good hotel because we only do, you know, 14 rooms, right? So it's a smaller hotel. It's quaint. We can increase the HVAC system, right? So you get more air circulation, right? There are things that we can do to combat COVID. We're looking at how Marriott and all these other companies come back, how Airbnb is performing because it's more secluded, right? During this pandemic, they're growing. I think they're bigger than Marriott, the Hilton, or like all of the next three biggest hotel groups. They're like at the IPO bigger than them. Yeah. So we're looking at how things are performing. I'm like, okay, this small like boutique hotel could actually be what the city needed. They already needed a hotel, right? Something more tourist based, right, for the city. But we're looking at it and we're like, all right, 14 rooms, this is perfect, right, for the city. It's a perfect level. Like they have 150 room and then they have another 79 room. They hovered at like 49 to 80% occupancy. But obviously they dropped during the pandemic, right? And people don't feel comfortable being in such big hotels, right? So if you're looking at like a smaller hotel, even if we're at 50% occupancy, we can still outperform some of the bigger ones because our expenses aren't, it goes into a bunch of, reasons why, economic reasons why, but we're like, all right, we're able to make better decisions because we're in the eye of the storm. We're at the worst of the worst.
You ever see that meme of just the white guy with all the calculations going around his head? That's like me right now with all these fucking questions.
No, let's get to them, yeah.
How do you, when you have a project coming your way, like a new potential project, how do you decide if you were going to indulge in that? Is it simple as if everything lines up on paper, we'll go with it? Or is it something maybe a bit more that most newer agents in your field may miss?
I think it's like a funnel system, right? So it's like it's refined at every level, right? So does it meet our metrics first, right? Like, does it align? Well, it's before that. Like, is this online with what we're trying to accomplish, right? Like, we're specific because we're focusing on one town, right? So if you're a bigger developer and I do projects in LA, Miami, wherever, your funnel system may be different, right? But us, because we're in one specific area, the way we refine it is like, okay, is this our representation in the town, right? So we're doing a boutique hotel, we have a couple of mixed-use commercial spaces, right? Here's what we want to provide and here's what we think is needed in the town. If this deal comes our way and it's for a bank, right, like to redevelop a bank, there's an RFP that went out, and I'll give you a real-world example. There's an RFP that went out, and the economic specialist for the city had sent it to me first. And don't even know if I can say this on air, but we're past the point of no return. So they sent it over, and they're like, oh, would you be interested in this, or would somebody in your network be interested in this? And I looked at it, and I'm like, well, we're not interested in doing a theater. Like that. Automatically, it's not in line with what we're trying to do. But let's say if we were trying to do a theater, okay, well, let's get down to the numbers. Is there an acquisition cost, right? Is this something that we can afford, right? And then we look at, all right, what are the numbers, right? So how much is it going to cost us to develop, right? What are the projected returns? And if it doesn't meet our numbers, then it doesn't make the cut. So every level deeper, we just funnel it it either goes a new level deeper or it comes out of a funnel, right? So it has to meet our litmus test. And that goes to, that is more attested to the team. So if you know your numbers, like we know our, equity multiple, right? So your EMX, right? We know that we need to be at like 3.6, right? So like if we exit out of this, how many times are we gonna X our money, right? What's our internal rate of return? Is it below 14? Is it above 15? Like we have a set number. What's our projected cash on cash? What's our ROI, right? Like does it meet our metrics? Yes or no, right? And then we just literally it goes level down, level down, level down. Do we have the capacity to do it, right? Like is this project too big for us, right? Like do I have the resources right now? I have this project in the pipeline, this project in the pipeline. Can I squeeze this in the pipeline? Yes or no, right? So it just literally goes level and level.
And it's so important to have that discernment because I could imagine for some people who might have been rookies getting into development probably have bitten more than they can chew, and you probably observed those mistakes, right? I mean, what are some of the things that can happen if
full disclosure. We've unhinged our jaw a couple of times.
Please tell me about that. When you've bitten more than you can chew, how'd you handle it? What was that like?
Do you want
And how does that affect you guys individually and collectively? Because you do work together.
Yeah. It puts a lot of pressure on the team, right? It puts a lot of pressure. So we're like, and it's probably not by the project size, but it's about the amount of stuff that we're doing, right? So like we're trying to launch this turnkey program, right? And we're still doing development, right? We're still doing construction. We're still managing assets. And now we've identified a new way to generate revenue for our business. And we're like, all right, fuck it. Let's, excuse my language, but they're like, oh yeah. So listen, the other stuff we do is like, you can't say it. But we're like, listen, let's do it, right? We're like, oh, we can bring in another 300,000 this year if we just do this. And it's like, all right, but what does this really entail?
What does it entail?
You know, like, all right.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah, we got to analyze. This is X amount of more deals we got to analyze now. Who's analyzing the deal? Satir. Well, who made the decision? Laquan so Satir's like, yo, this is what I got to do. You know, I got this meeting with the bank. I got this meeting. Yo, this is not going to get the attention it needs. All right, well, then we got the construction. All right, well, we trying to figure out how to finish this project and this project. And you telling me I got 3 more projects? Like, it's stress on everybody because we all manage different parts of the business. So Dwight's our chief operating officer, and he generally is in charge of our businesses that have an operational function. So the asset management, the construction, he generally oversees. I'm the chief executive officer, so I see, like, you know, I'm working with Dwight and making sure those businesses are doing what they need to do. I'm working with Satir, who's our chief investment officer. I'm reporting to investors. I'm working with the board, right? Like, we're all handling different things. Satir's working on the investment, so he's spearheading our acquisition, right? So he's like, all right.
He's finding properties. He's
finding more deals, finding more properties, looking at businesses that we should be acquiring, going through their financials, working with our accountant, right? I'm working with the legal team, so everybody has their function. So it's like, all right, we pick up something, it's like, all right, are they overloaded? Right? And then it's like, you know, that could be like, damn, all right, this nigga, I'm not doing nothing else. I'm not getting on this call. And it'd be like that. It'd be like, yeah, I'm not getting on this call because I know it's going to be 2 more things to do.
I'm not. You gotta remember too. We're all fathers now, right?
New
I
fathers.
have a
Amazing.
son. I have a 8-year-old. That's crazy. I have an 8-year-old son, and an 8-month-old daughter.
Yeah.
So things get hectic around the house, and I just purchased. I just purchased my first home earlier in 2020 during the pandemic, actually.
I was so proud of that dude when he invited me and I seen this house. I'm like, bruh.
Damn, we got a pool.
Bro, got a big ass deck in the backyard. I'm like, bruh,
I
backyard,
believe it.
bruh.
You gotta thank the Lord. You know what I mean? You just gotta stay humble. But we have tons of responsibilities outside of and just to let the audience know, like is real estate is not people on social medias, YouTube, whatever, they tell you, oh, you literally could do this in 30 days, or you low money down and you can flip a property in 20, like flipping a property and
Correctly.
That's stressful, right? Like it's a lot of work that goes into it. Obviously it gets better as you go along, but it's a lot, right? So we have our meetings. We started out, when we first started, we were doing meetings like once a week, or really whenever we got to it, right? And then now we was like, all right, I know Quan, he got a million things, and if I tell him to do something, or if he tells me to do something, it might slip through the cracks, right? So now we're doing 3 meetings a week, right? Just to keep each other
Faithfully.
like Sunday morning at 7, right? Wednesday
Sunday morning at 7.
yeah, and then we have jobs as well, right? So we have a full-time jobs as well. But it's just a lot. So I say that to say if real estate is something that someone is interested in, take your time, right? Learn as much, be a master at one thing to get your entry, and then let that broaden your horizon, right? Don't try to take on too much. And to answer your question, like, we probably purchased too much property going in, right? Like when we first started, like we were just like, all right, we're gonna get this, we're gonna get this, we're gonna get this. Like we
see
like,
these huge
we
buildings.
in a Nike store right now, like I'm about to got this, like, these LeBrons, these Kobe, right? And then in hindsight, 2020 is just like, all right, maybe we should have not bought so much property and, maybe developed one or two here, get the proof of concept, and then go to the next, right? But, everything happens for a reason. So we don't trip off of mistakes, right? It's like we make a mistake. I made tons of mistakes, right? He's made tons of mistakes. Nobody trips off of it. And I think that's a testament to our team, like us being, actual friends in real life and growing up and knowing each other. It's like, yo, I can be objective, right? And I can hold him accountable, and he's not gonna feel some type of way, right? Like, yo, you bugging right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't. You know what I mean? And he's like, yo,
like chemistry is important.
Yeah, you right. You know what I'm saying? And the same for me. Like, yo, you not doing this. We need you to do this. All right, cool.
We've all had plenty of talks amongst each other,
Like that.
individually. Like, yo, we gotta talk to Sai. We probably gotta talk to Quan. And I get a call like, yo, the gang's all here. It's like, yo, and then we all wear many hats, and it's like, if you do it as a team, and that's what when we were going through Norton, we learned a really good lesson early on, because I was doing stuff in Baltimore, I was doing stuff in Philly before we all got together, right? And we were looking at Newark at the time, and we saw people from the Hasidic community in clusters of 5 or more going to, it's just me and Satir, or me and Dwight, or the 3 of us, and we're going into properties looking at 4 units, 5 units in Newark, and I'm seeing groups of 5 20-something-year-old Jewish kids, right? I'm like, dang, we talking to them, we chopping it up, and they're making cash offers, 2-week closes. And I'm like, damn, you spending their bar mitzvah money buying property. You feel me? And it's like, yo, we can go farther if we go together.
Yeah.
And what we were able to accomplish, this thing that we've developed that we're very proud of, it's like, it kind of started as a joke. We were on Satir's porch in the summer. I remember in the summertime, we were on his porch and we were like, yo, listen, we should just try to raise $3 million. Jokingly, because we frustrated. We're like, damn, every offer that we putting in, we're like, yeah, we should just try to raise $3 million. And he laughing, I'm laughing, but we looking at each other and we're like, listen, you with it, I'm with it.
Right.
And it's like, and if he were here, he would say, it's easier to go to war when you back to back with somebody you trust. And that's what we're doing right now. So we unhinged our jaw and bought 80,000 square feet of property, right? And we own it free and clear, right? And we're developing it, and we have very strong and in-depth relationships with our advisors, but the city, which was very impressive too, because we put so many hours in. It's like real estate is hard work. Whatever you do is hard work. If you want to be an artist, you better start writing.
Right.
You better listen to a lot of beats. You better figure out how to record yourself. You better everything. You got to take it serious, right? So we put in 10,000 plus hours analyzing deals, walking through properties, talking to contractors, literally creating relations. I can text the mayor of the city right now. I can text the director for the Community and Economic Development Department, the executive director for the Planning Commission. I can text everybody right now because we put hours in, sending emails, hopping on conference calls, doing in-person meetings, traveling out there. They're doing Christmas events. They're doing whatever events. We're going to the Halloween parade. We put hours in. And we've shown them we're serious. We own this. We've done, how many investor trips? 6, 7 investor trips. We do 1 a quarter, right, to show them we're serious. They trust us. They've given us reports and data and insight into the market. We're taking a look at the market from a development perspective and helping shape their viewpoint in their own city and county. It takes real work to do anything, right? And to do it well. And I know you're going to have a lot of questions, and real estate is so broad, and it's whatever it is you decide, get as much exposure. My advice would be to get as much exposure and learn it, and be very wary of people that's selling you get rich quick schemes, because really they're just trying to profit off you. They have something to sell you. They may not sell it to you on day one, but they may not sell it to you on day one. They may slow walk you right into a conference, and in that conference it's $30 before you leave, and now they got 300 people in there for $30. Like, just be very wary of somebody trying to sell you a get-rich-quick scheme, because anything's worth having takes time to build.
Facts.
It really takes time. Like, y'all didn't just y'all didn't start recording in the studio.
No.
It took time. It took like look, bro. You feel me?
Oh shit!
He said I Superman him.
Oh,
He said I Superman him.
I'm honored, yo.
Nah,
That's
bro.
dope.
Nah, like, yo, it's like this took time. I saw your website. Like, you feel me? Like, y'all took your time. You know what I mean? And like, just like real estate, it takes time to like learn it. Like really learn it, right? And it's like, don't waste your time. Like, if you just doing it just to get money, like, I mean, I'm probably saying this because we in a little bit better position, but like, this money, it doesn't mean nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, yes, do something you love, right? You know, work your hardest at it, right? And then you don't. Everybody doesn't have to be an active investor. You can be a passive investor, right? Like, and it's so simple. Like, you can say, rather, you don't own a home. So like, yo, when you're ready to buy your first home, instead of looking for this nice, you know, once everything that you're doing pays off, don't go buy a 4,000 square foot mini mansion.
No.
Yo, buy a duplex, buy a 4-unit, and there's duplexes and 4 units.
And you know
Nice
that's where I'm going
neighborhoods.
with it.
Nice neighborhoods. Rent out the other unit or 3 units.
And just keep the nicest one for myself.
You feel me? You feel me? It's discipline. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
Like, it's
Time to
discipline.
get something out the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
A good parking spot. So
He's having to get the good view. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But no, seriously, like, you don't always have to do it actively. Yo, just buy a quick little duplex, or if you got a little bit of money tucked away, or you got really good credit, you know, buy a property and hire a management company. You make less of a margin, right? But now
it's less stress.
it's a lot less stress.
And it's automated.
It's automated, right?
That's the route I'm going to go, to be
Yeah,
honest.
and build it slowly. And if you feel like you're a what is it called, a kinesthetic learner, like you got to touch stuff, right? Like, if you got to do it, you know, be honest with yourself and who you are and where you are, right? Like, if you're not a charismatic person and you're not good with talking to people and reading in situations, you know, don't go into wholesaling. It's a very
Hands-on.
personable style of real estate, right? Like, don't do it. It's just not gonna
And
work.
it's saturated.
It's saturated. So you got to be better than somebody that don't want to do it. That's just really good at talking people out of whatever. Like
Okay.
Dwight, like, people just love him.
Be finesses.
I wouldn't call him that, but
That's not
he's
Nah,
just,
fuck with you.
people just warm up to him easily, tell him whatever. Like, he'll just, well, I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna say that on the air, but he can talk to somebody on the phone and not say much. And it can be a very fulfilling conversation for him. You know? So like, Dwight's one of those people, like, yo, you could put him on the phone and he gonna talk to grandma and Uncle Tim and whoever, and he gonna get the contract. And he's not gonna say much. It's just natural for him. You know? So like, he could go in a wholesale and I would
Jay
recommend-
said less is more.
It's
Feel
true.
me?
Facts.
Me, I could talk though. I just could talk well. So I'm gonna make you love me and make you like me and make you feel like I'm the expert on the situation and trust my judgment.
Both of y'all would have had all my money, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, y'all got me, but like,
Yeah.
but we got like 7 minutes left,
Yeah, word.
and I guess my last point I want to make before you guys can like shout out your social media and all that. Do you have like a this or that you can do right quick or?
Nah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. The one thing I really like learned just by hearing both of you speak is you guys have a real intense level of trust for each other. There was never a moment where you guys would interrupt or try to correct somebody or even try to add on. You kind of just trusted what each other said. And I guess my last question is, could you provide some advice to the audience for those who may want to go into business with their friends? There's a bit of hesitation some people may have because like egos may get in the way, and because there's that level of friendship, there's an extra level of comfort that people may expect from their friend.
Yeah.
But in a business, you can't do that. So could you provide some advice to someone who may want to go into business with their friends?
Good question.
That is a good question. Know yourself, right? I think the secret to myself, Satir, and Dwight, our working relationship is because they're self-aware. They know, like Dwight knows, Satir knows, I know, like who we are, and I know like what lines not to. We know like this is a line, this is a line, this is don't. you know, and know yourself, right, and be honest about who you are. Pay attention to who you're around, and be honest about who they are and their capability, right? Don't try to put unrealistic expectation on people, right? Like, you know, I like we got this joke about Dwight, right? Like he may not answer, but he always will call you back. So Dwight, I think with Dwight is like, yo, if you in an emergency, call the cops. Facts. Facts. That's a fact. Like he know that about himself. We all know that about him. You feel me? Satir though.
But if you need something,
he's undeniable.
Facts.
If you ask Dwight to be there at 5:06, he may get there at 5:07, but he gonna get there, and he gonna do whatever it take to. You feel me? And we're gonna support him. And I mean, I can't speak for myself, but Satir, yo, you can ask him for anything, and he gonna give you his last. But it ain't gonna come easy. It's gonna be a conversation about it. You know, it's gonna be a thing. But he gonna give it to you. He gonna make sure you're good. And we just trust each other. Because we know ourselves, we know our yeses and our nos, and they know their yeses and our nos, and we honest with each other. And I think self-actualization is important in business. And then the second thing is, yo, put the shit in writing, set clear expectations, and treat it like business.
Yeah.
Like we joke, but when it came down to the attorneys drafting the documents, it's like, yo, you getting this, I'm getting this, I'm getting this. That's it. It's no, like you can look at our operating agreement, you can look at our articles of organization, you can look at everything, and it's clear as day. You feel me? We have a wealth advisor. We have a wealth advisor. It's like, yeah, and X time you're gonna get insurance policies on everybody, because God forbid if somebody passes, I'm not doing business with your wife. You know what I mean? They're gonna get paid out and it's gonna be fair, but this is between us. Like, so make sure your business is business, and keep that business. Be honest with yourself about who you are, and be aware of who you're around. And it's sounds simple, but just because it's simple, that doesn't mean it's not difficult. It ain't complex. It can be difficult because people are not always honest with themselves. That's the most challenging part.
I want to add something to this real quick before we go for the audience, man. I want to say your network really is your net worth, right? And the reason I say that is because, like, previously for like the past 5 years, I was living downtown Elizabeth in the trenches. It was rough, my nigga. It was motherfucking rough. Niggas was getting shot. Niggas was getting ran down by SWAT, nigga.
He ain't lying.
I ain't lying. This is all facts. You can read it on the news, nigga. But
I've been over that way a couple times.
You feel me? Shout out to Inslee, though. You know, shout out to everybody on the block. You know, I'll be there to pick up some weed. But anyway, so your network is really your net worth, because this man right here bought his home, right? And I was already happy for him. When he invited me to his house, like, I was genuinely like, yo, like, I seen this guy grow up. Now I'm at his house. You know what I'm saying?
His kids running around.
You know what I mean? His kids running around, strolling in the kitchen. And I'm just like, man, that inspired me to want to just get more for myself. So I'm like, man, I'm going to get the fuck out the hood. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to move. He finds an apartment 5 minutes away. And he sends me the information on Friday. By Monday, I was already approved. I already had my application. You can ask him, right?
That's facts.
Facts. I played no games when he gave me that information. I did everything I had to do, and now I'm living like a king.
Got my hood up out the hood. White, you got up about the hood?
Got me out the hood, my brother, bro.
Respect.
Like, he really does this. He really lives this life. Like, these guys are about it, bro. I'm just saying, man, pay attention to who's in your network, man, because it matters.
And I believe if you do good to good people, only good gonna come to you.
That's a fact.
So,
Facts.
you know,
That's a fact.
that goes to your question as well. Like, you know, we all, you know, I know him. I know his upbringing. I know he's a good guy. You know, business. You know, and people say money change you, right? And I know from, you know, speaking personally, it's not about money for me. Like, I'm not doing this for money. You know, obviously I want my family to be good and, you know, my kids to grow up and have security, but you know, I'm not looking for a hard number. Say I want to be, you know, make $10 million. Like, you know, whatever comes. But, you know, I'm excited to be on a journey. I'm excited to be a part of people that I love, right, and doing good and being a part of something that's going to do good for a community in multiple communities, not just here where we're at now, but, you know, ongoing. right? So, and bringing people along, right? Like, you know, if you say, you know, I want to learn about real estate, or I want to, you know, we're not somebody that's just going to withhold information, whatever you want to know, whatever. If we have it, we don't believe in keeping it, right? Like, it's not
ours to give.
It's not ours to keep, right? It's to give back. So, and then, you know, potentially, well, in the future, going back to our hometown where we all grew up from, and giving back there, right? So, like, you know, just do good to good people, right? And good will come back. You know, have faith, right? And you know, I think, you know, the rest, you know, things just happen by nature, right? You know, just the timing of everything will line up, right? And you know, just I don't know if you want to call it karma, but, you know, I believe we had a lot of whatever you want to call it on our side, right? Like, things just kind of just lined up, and it's like it's almost unreal. Sometimes
we
like, yeah,
they've been solid. Like, no cap. I'm not saying it's just because I know that they've been solid my whole life. Like, they've been good people. Like, they don't do people dirty, right? Like, they've been honest guys my whole life, bro. So it's like, it's absolutely makes sense why you guys are successful. Why the things that you're doing are coming to fruition and it's manifesting. You've already put in the, you know, that energy into the universe way early before you even knew exactly what you wanted to do, but you always knew you were going to be good people and that you wanted to care about others. That shit matters, yo. It matters. That energy will carry you and will make you successful.
I really admire and respect you two brothers. I really learned a lot. I definitely have a lot more questions. I'd like to connect with you guys after this,
sure.
As far as questions and just whatever. Yeah, please shout out where people can find you guys and support you. If you got social media to shout out or anything like that, or the business itself.
Yeah, so we have an Instagram.
It has one picture on it.
I knew that because the way y'all laugh.
It looks like a meme account, but it's strategic though. Like, you know, we're believing in just, you know, kind of hitting the grounds, right? So, like, you know, putting in work and then letting people see. So, I mean, you know, we'll at some point, you know, add more content and let people see the journey. We have tons of film, tons of edits and things that people can see. But just right now, we're focused mainly on, and maybe we should get a
social media
manager.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You was like, oh, dude, you got a job.
Is this a paying position?
He said.
Yeah.
He said it's.
We can talk about it.
Send my resume tonight.
It's negotiable. It's negotiable.
It's negotiable. Yeah.
You know, like
that might be it. But no, yeah. So the social media, I did this because it was a podcast like on Friday. They asked me this, and I'm like, hold on, let me look it up. It's Johnstown. It's Johnstown Capital on Instagram.
Okay.
Our website is johnstowncapitalpartners.org. We're not heavy online and social. We're just like really putting the work in. So I'd give out our email if you have questions about real estate. Someone from our team can help and facilitate with that. I'll figure out who. But yes, Johnstown Capital Partners, partners is plural, at gmail.com. And, you know, if you're more interested in what we're doing and how you can participate, you can reach us via email. And if you're in the realm of real estate and you're looking to do something in the realm of real estate, or you have questions, feel free to reach out and ask, right, via email, and we'll do our best to respond and give out the information that we have.
Cool.
Yeah.
CR, you want to shout out?
Yeah, man, if you're hearing the sound of my voice, do yourself a favor and follow me on the gram at CR_908. And just for my musical audience, understand that Cold Hearted is dropping in February, the Friday of Valentine's Day, which is the 12th. I've been working real hard on this project. I've been singing, working on my voice for the ladies, and it's amazing. So please follow me on Instagram at CR_908, and I'll keep you updated.
And lastly, just shout out to the podcast website, introvertedpod.com, for all the details involving the show. But what I personally want to shout out, fuck my social media. I want to talk about my first book.
Hey.
My first book, The Avenue, A Personal Dictionary, releases February 28th. It's available for pre-order right now on Amazon. I actually just checked today. The highest rank that I've reached on the Amazon charts is 231 in the self-help and motivational charts. That's just based off pre-orders. That's just based off searches and love. So I appreciate all the supporters of the show who may have supported my book up to this point. But if you haven't, you go on Amazon.com again, type in the Avenue of Personal Dictionary, hit that pre-order link. The paperback version will be available February 28th. The ebook version is available for pre-order right now. And stay tuned, Atlanta, North Carolina, and New Jersey. The book may be in a few bookstores by the time of the next podcast. So, yes. So thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you guys.
One.
Let's go.
Yo, I'm gonna just have them two in frame.
Okay.
And then can y'all take like 2 steps this way?
Yeah, have that TV, the
Yeah.
logo in the middle.
You got
Should I
the
take
logo
my
right
jacket
there,
off?
man.
Yeah, perfect.
You got the logo right there.
I really appreciate that, bro. That really caught me for a loop, for
I'm
real.
telling you, bro.
Look at you had the merch.
Oh,
Come on, man.
Respect it.
It's revenue out here. It's what matters.
Nah, I'm gonna need y'all like you're right here. Go to the edge of the TV. You're right there.
so you can see the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, ready? Action.